Hi, this is Brendan McLaughlin. This is my reflective log. Today I'll be covering the 2nd to the 4th of March, so the 3rd week of my film course. Just get into a quick note before we kind of get into the full kind of project. This is the second time recording the project. I'll show you why. This was the first time I was recording the project, and you might notice that the screen, nothing ever changes on it. Also, you can see two me's. This was because, due to a zoom error, I have two monitors. So there's one here where my webcam is on, and there's a second monitor here. It recorded the second monitor instead of the first monitor. That means that you cannot see any of the work I was talking about. That makes the reflective log kind of useless. So that's kind of a quick problem solving we're going to get into. This is basically, I tested it by making another recording on Zoom of me just sitting there to make sure it actually is recording the right screen. Hopefully this will record the right screen at the moment. I have tested it, so that's kind of get into it. So my reflective logs are going to slightly change from last year. Last year I done my reflective logs, not last year, say a lot of other units. I done my reflective log using a green screen where I would talk about it, and then in the edit I would put the things up on the screen, stuff like that. This created a lot of issues, I'll be honest. See, reflective logs were taking 3 to 4 hours to edit, make, and stuff like that, because there was a lot of kind of, basically what I would do is I would write a script, I would record, I would edit, stuff like that, and it came to a point where it wasn't feasible and stuff like that to do it in a week, and then it kind of became more of a burden. And I think it kind of, you saw in the later reflection logs, I was kind of getting a bit fed up with it. I think it just took up so much time and effort that I couldn't do it to myself. So how I'm going to change reflective log this year is I'll be using the Zoom format. So what basically I'll do is I'll talk about it on Zoom, as you see from my screen, hopefully. The notepad, I basically write out kind of the sections, and then in the edit, I will cut down the sections, make it a bit easier and organized. I feel like it's a good medium because I still get some editing experience, but it's not coming such a burden, such a big kind of chunk of my work. At the moment, Premiere is still not working. I'll just open it up now just to prove to you that Premiere is not working. So it basically means that the videos won't be edited down to that kind of format yet. As you can see, the license has expired. At the moment, it won't be edited down to that format. It's like, oh, here's the section, title card, next section. We'll kind of just be more talking about it. But once Premiere gets back up, I'll kind of start doing that, and then I'll start doing a bit more editing and stuff like that. Maybe having the music, things like that, to make it a bit more interesting. So that's reflective logs. Wednesday, let's go into the first day. So Wednesday was project proposal day, I'm going to call it. So in this day, we started the project proposal. A project proposal is basically a proposal document that we make for every single project to kind of outline the project. We've basically this week, we've done 2 out of the 5 sections. This was rationale and valuation. I had done a lot of these last unit, sorry, I keep saying last year, but the last units. So I do kind of know what I'm doing, but this time it was a bit different just because the final ones for that overall. So to go into the 2 sections I wrote, I think this shows a bit of a yin and yang. I think one of them is really good and one is really bad. So we'll start with the bad one. I think the rationale isn't very good. I'm not very good at writing in the limitation of words. Obviously, you see when I did not be half an hour long, and my work is very long. So I'm a very, very detailed person. So when I'm working with a very, small word count, 100 words, I do find it difficult. And I don't think this could have been better. It's not very detailed, and I could have kind of really managed those words a bit better. So I think that's something I really need to be working on, is how to kind of quickly nail down what I'm doing, say what I want in that limited time space. That I think will help with these reflective logs, especially kind of really nailing down the information. But on the other side, I think I'm getting a bit better because the evaluation is 50 words, and that's obviously half of 100. I think the evaluation is pretty well done. I think it's just because it's pretty simple. I know what I'm doing with evaluations. So how I'm going to evaluate this project is will be these reflective logs, and at the end of the project will be a big overall final evaluation where I kind of go over every stage and talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and stuff like that, and really kind of nail it down. So project proposal, kind of weak. It's 50-50, I would say. It is the biggest, I did put it down as the biggest disadvantage this day, just because it is kind of it could have been better. And I think it really plays into that kind of thing. I need to kind of get better at shortening myself down and kind of get straight to the point that I wasn't very good at this project proposal. Another thing I done on Wednesday that was technically in that gap space. So as you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is my college work days. And then then you've obviously got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There's 4 days separate. So in those time I normally work on college work and stuff like that, kind of nailing down my ideas. And one of the things I'd done was I changed the concept PowerPoint slightly. As you remember, there was 7 stages. There's now 8, technically. I decided to add a choose your own adventure ending. This was influenced by Clue, a lot of other films, especially way back in Project 3, where you actually done choose your own adventure. And I like the moral kind of implications of it and stuff like that. Kind of it plays into that very kind of surrealist nature of the film. So one ending is the original ending that I had, where it's very upbeat. The character kind of creates, defeats his demons and stuff like that. And the other one I call the kill ending. And this is described as an existential crisis. So basically, the idea is the ending is that the idea of this ending is it's kind of very existential. It's scored by Are You Happy by Bo Burnham, and it's very Bo Burnham orientated. He's very much an artist and very interested in. So that's kind of ending. I do go into more about this in the concept presentation video, so I won't just try on about it. That I'll go into the concept presentation video in a second. But just another small thing I note, I did put all my sourcing in red. On my website, I do have all the text in black and the sources in yellow. The reason why I don't have it on black on this PowerPoint is because I just feel like for a PowerPoint where you want things to really stand out and really come with more detailed, it works. But where for like when my website have chunkier text, it works with black better. So it's kind of one of those things where I kind of a bit more loose with the rules this time. And I think the red, obviously I need a different color. If I put it in black, it wouldn't stand out, whereas red kind of makes the LD sourcing stand out. So that's why it's slightly different. So let's get into Thursday, Friday. I put Thursday and Friday together because the process we support kind of stemmed over both those days, and there's no point me just kind of dividing up. It's pointless, and I think it's easier if we just do it this way. So the thing I done was recording the concept proposal. So the concept PowerPoints we're talking about, I recorded a video where I kind of just went down the concept proposal and basically talked about each slide, gave a bit more detail. As you can see from the runtime, I did kind of go on a bit. It's nearly half an hour long, but I think it's just because I'm so passionate about this idea. I think on the outside of the, I think on this day, it was my biggest strength. I think it was really well detailed. I think I really went over each point. I really kind of added that detail and stuff like that. And I really kind of expanded upon what the information I said. On the PowerPoint, I didn't just go through the PowerPoint and just read out every text. I kind of justified my decisions, went back and forth. As you can see, I kind of stem it off each other and really kind of connect everything. And I think that's what I'm trying to do this year more, is kind of connect everything, make it a bit more detailed, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was the main advantage of this day. Here's a bit of problem solving I had. Problem solving is going to be a big part of these reflective rules. I really want to try and put many problems I had and talk about them as much as possible. The college computers aren't the best. They've always kind of been limited in the addition budget, stuff like that. So when they record screens, especially through Zoom, they aren't the best, and that's how I record them. And the quality just wasn't really there, and you couldn't really understand the slides. So instead of just uploading the video, I decided to just go home and re-record it with a better quality. And as you can see from this video, I think the quality is definitely there. And I think it definitely helps, helps people better understand the PowerPoint. They can actually see it. So that was a kind of problem solving. Another thing I done was finish up the process research report. The process research report is something I talked about last week, but just kind of give a quick TDOR. It's how to basically make a film from your specialism perspective. My specialist video editing, so I learned from video editing. Last week I just wrote the intros, where this week I really went into the kind of ideas. So what I basically done was I got a primary source, mostly through a Discord. I'll go into why that was an issue in a second. But I got a primary source, and I broke down what they said, and I kind of said why that's a good technique. And then what I done was I basically backed it up. Because I think the important thing with sourcing is backing up. Because just because Joe says something doesn't mean, you know, then you find someone else, like, say Joe says the sky's blue, you find someone else the sky is blue, the sky, you know, it's backing up. But on the other side, what I done was I found another source that said there is a disadvantage to it. So you find someone says, you know, the sky is green, and you justify why they're wrong or why you're not using that technique. And I think it really helps with that sourcing. Obviously, as you can see from my half reference, hopefully this actually put them in my screen. The sourcing, there was a lot of sourcing and I looked at a lot from places. I decided to really try and strengthen the range of source I use. Last year I only really used website. This year I used books, I used articles, I used videos. I really tried to back it up. And one of the big sources I used was primary. So as I talked about last week, primary research I conducted myself. I did have some issues with the primary research. This kind of go into a problem. So the main disadvantage was primary research is difficult to get, especially nowadays, if you don't mention on social media. I found that I was messaging about 10 to 15, you know, indie filmmakers, writers, camera people, stuff like that, and barely getting a response. So I decided to kind of think smart and not, you know, dumb. I thought, how can I reach the biggest range of people possible? So I use a film Discord. Discord basically like a kind of like a social media platform, but you kind of join Discord like channels that are specific to it. So I joined a lot of filmmaking ones. I joined like 2 to 3. I basically went in there and said, chatting with people, and it's like, hey, I need some advice in these sections. And I think it really did help. So I was able to get primary sources, as you can see from here. Here's a primary source of someone saying how to do this, how to do that. But I think the biggest problem with this, and as this is the reason why it's in my disadvantages, is because I think it did lack credible primary sources, because these are kind of anyone. Whereas, like, if I went to an actual filmmaker or an actual cinematographer, so that I would have got strength from primary sources. So I think that's something I need to think about as I further go along, because I think I will obviously be getting more sources for different parts of the project. Is kind of working out how to get bigger, chunkier primary sources that will really help strengthen my work and make it more interesting and detailed. So yeah, that was the main disadvantage. But overall, I think this does kind of hold up. I think it's very detailed. One small thing I did get rid of was you might remember there was a 5th section called feedback. I decided to remove this and kind of merge it with post-production, because I thought feedback on its own didn't really hold up. And I found that I was kind of stretching what I wanted to do and stuff like that. And as I was really kind of over the word count, I felt that it'd be better to kind of merge post-production and feedback, because they're very similar from video editor's perspective, into one. And I think it works better. I think it works fine now. I think if I added that feedback, it would just be too long. So I think that's another example of me kind of understanding my limits and stuff like that. So yeah, advantage for these 2 days was the recording, very strength, very, you know, details for that. And disadvantage, or a small little nugget of thing I kind of noticed about myself, was that I could have got better primary sources. So last week's target was finishing up the report and was thinking a bit more big picture and kind of expanding my idea. So I did finish all the reports I just talked about. The report is all done. I'm ready for tomorrow's deadline on Monday. I still have yet to upload it to the website, but that's kind of a simple copy paste job. And I think the report was pretty good. I think I really did expand on what I want to do, and I thought it was well written. I had people, my peers, look over it, just kind of give feedback to that, and they thought it was really good. So I think it's, you know, I think it's a pretty good report. Now on the think more big picture thing, I think I did think about a bit more picture. Obviously, I expanded upon the concept PowerPoint idea, and it kind of came a bit bigger like that. And I really kind of thought big picture with this kind of report stage like that. What I did think about the overall film and stuff like that, overall as a filmmaker, what you should do as a video editor and stuff like that. So I think, again, target met, and it's something that, obviously, these targets aren't going to be target met, move on. I will always be thinking about these targets, but as a mini kind of target, I think I've done pretty well. So next week's target, I think I do need to balance my time a bit better. I did run into some time management issues, mostly because I'm not the best with time and stuff like that. I think I do spend a lot more time on the written stuff than other stuff. And I think this comes really clear in the primary sources. I think if I spend a bit more time on the primary sources, I would have a better primary section of sources that would have really backed up my work and really kind of strengthened it to make sure I get the distinction grade. So that's something I'll really think about next week, every week really, is how can I manage my time to make sure that each part of the project I'm doing needs distinction, solid distinction, so some of them be a bit more looser, as my goal is distinction. So that's been my reflective work. Overall, I think it was a pretty decent week. I'm feeling really positive about the course so far. I'm really liking the idea. I think I'm really connecting with it. And I think these reflective log changes are going to really help me kind of make better reflective logs and really kind of feel less stressed about reflective logs in the overall project. So that has been week 3 of my FMP. Thank you for watching.